in this video, I want to talk with you about spiritual laziness or laziness to imagine. And this is a topic that within my program, within my communities, I oftentimes see coming up. And now there is no slide presentation for this video. Simply, enjoy this slowly spinning earth. And I want to give you my spontaneous thoughts on this topic, because I sometimes also see this in like the YouTube comments where people say, okay, I'm just too lazy to imagine, right? So I in the theory, I know what to do. I know that I have to, in a sense, I have to make an inner movement, right? But then I'm too lazy to do it, right? I can't bring myself to sit down to imagine or to do anything of these practices. So I want to give you my thoughts on that right now, because honestly, I think that this is a topic that we probably have all experienced. Like I have definitely experienced that as well, where I was too lazy. I felt too comfortable to imagine, right? Although I knew that this is super potent, because this is the movement. This is helping me to place my awareness on a new state, right? On a portion of creation that I want to open up, so to speak, right? This helps me to anchor me in this new state that I want to see reflected in my world, but I sometimes didn't do it. And I think there are a couple of reasons. Now, one thing can be that simply the desire for change is not big enough, or the dissatisfaction with the current circumstances are not big enough. And I know some people might say, no, I actually do really want this. But again, like I said, this is just one option, because first of all, dissatisfaction. Okay, so if you're dissatisfied with life, if you feel triggered by the circumstances, if you really feel a deep unhappiness about your current life's experience, then I see that first of all as a huge motor element for change, right? So if the dissatisfaction is high enough, then out of that usually also most changes in life happen. This is when you see people quitting their job and starting something new, or this is when you see people leaving their country and relocating, doing certain things, because the dissatisfaction is so growing, and then it just goes into this change. And then they are spurred to act. Like then the really big thing happens in your life because dissatisfaction is so big. So the laziness, again, can come from comfort, and the dissatisfaction is not that big. Or again, the inspiration, the desire of what you want is also not big enough, right? You say, okay, it would be quite cool if I could have this, right? It would be quite cool if I, could double my income, if I could have my own business, if I could be with this person, if I could be in a relationship, you name it, right? But yeah, I'm also cool how things are right now. And if that's the attitude, then obviously, why would you imagine it, right? If you fall back to this comfort zone. So you have to, I think it is very helpful always if you're honest with yourself, right? If you're not trying to lie to yourself, if you're honest with yourself, and if you can see, okay, that is happening for the past year, I've been living in my comfort zone, I've been always coming back to usual, habits, to usual states, to usual experiences in my life, then ask yourself or make this clear to yourself, right? If you don't move within, then in the next year, not much will change. And the next year, not much will change. And the next year, not much will change. So for a change in the circumstances, a change within, a movement within, in what we believe to be true about ourselves and how we see the world and from which stage we view the world, that sometimes subtle inner shift is always coming first before, our life experiences and the actions we take and the opportunities coming our way change. So it can be helpful that you make yourself clear, okay, if you continue that laziness, so to speak, that spiritual laziness, that unmotivated, some people are from their nature more lethargic, but let's just say that's not you. You actually want to make a change. You actually want to manifest something new. Then simply make yourself clear that if you don't move, the world doesn't move, right? You see the world in front of you right now. If you don't move, the world doesn't move. So you can play this game longer, but then you will see, okay, also the world hasn't moved. So then don't yell at the world, don't blame the world, don't even blame yourself, but then simply recognize, okay, maybe it's time right now to find some clarity. Maybe it's time right now to find out what excites me. Why am I here? Why am I here on this planet, right? What have I always wanted to do? What were my traits in childhood? What's your nature? What do you like to do? What are you good at? How would your friends, your family members describe you? What's your theme, so to speak, in life? You can find this out, and then you maybe get any like new motivation, unfound motivation that you don't have yet, that will help you to actually be like, wait, why should I be lazy? Like, there's so much more to explore. There's so much more to conquer. There's so much more for me to discover. I now want to go in that direction. But again, if you don't even have a direction, then that is also a big motor element for laziness, because we're lazy because we're used to what is, and we're comfortable with what is. But if we have an aim and we have a direction, then we cannot remain lazy forever, in a sense, right? Because that aim will propel us to like move towards it, and we will always want to imagine us in that aim. We always have like a north star, so to speak, right? Like a polar star. We always know this is our direction that we go in life, or just in general, or like in this chapter right now. It doesn't need to be for life, but like in this chapter right now, I wanna fix my finances, or in this chapter right now, I wanna, I feel as though I'm a really good partner. Or in this chapter right now, I want to take care of my body, or I want to do all of it, or whatever it is. So these were some spontaneous thoughts on the topic of spiritual and manifestation laziness, right? So it does happen. And again, I gave you some reasons, right? Desire not big enough, pain not big enough, not physical pain, but I mean pain for change, the dissatisfaction not big enough, the inspiration not big enough. Yeah. And sometimes, again, don't think that you need to manifest something consciously all the time. If you enjoy your life right now, then also enjoy it, right? It doesn't mean that just because you compare yourself to other people and their journeys that you think you're missing something, and then you think you're lazy, although actually you're comfortable with your life, right? Actually you're satisfied with your life. If that's the case, well, then it's also cool, right? Have this self-awareness, develop the self-awareness. Try to be honest with yourself, intuitively, in a sense, connect intuitively to your inner world and be like, what feels good for me? What do I want? I'm not saying this right now in this esoteric way, like, do what's good for you and live in a tree for your life. Like, you get the point, right? Ask yourself honestly, what's good for you? Your intuition usually knows what's good for you and the direction you want to go. But because it is so veiled, it is so covered with a lot of dust and conditionings and concepts and stories and all of it, you don't even know what you want. Therefore, you're lazy, right? But if you become more self-aware, you let go of all of this, you find more clarity, you connect more to your true self, to what you always wanted to, what inspires you. You ask yourself, what do I want to do with my life? Because you will live a lot more years. So you will be here on this planet for more years. So what excites you? What do you want to do next? What do you want to define this next chapter of your life to be as? And then go for it, right? So these are my thoughts. Maybe there's more, but again, I wanted to make this spontaneous video because again, I've seen that this is a topic coming up sometimes for people. And don't force yourself, because force creates more force. If you force yourself and if you pressure, then I'm simply not a big fan of that, because pressure usually creates more pressure, and then you also experience life in a pressure type of way. Let me know in the comments. I would be super interested, honestly, how many of you encounter that okay, I now have this desire and this would be cool, and I actually know, okay, like I can imagine the scene that implies it, but for some reason I never really do it, right? I never really do it. And again, for such a case, what can be helpful is a community, right? I know this sounds like, oh, now he's just trying to sell us something, and I don't, because you can totally apply all of these teachings on your own. It's simply that now that I think about it, when you are surrounded by people who also on the same path, right, who also help each other, be like, hey, come on, let's do this, making challenges or whatever it might be, then it can be helpful. And you find a lot of communities out there. I recently created a new community, which I call the Upgrade Your Life Inner Circle, which is only $50, where you can connect with like-minded people on this journey. So maybe that's something for you. And yeah, you have my free masterclass, you have my program if you want to work with me. Again, resources are there, knowledge is out there on the internet. You now need to make something out of that. But spiritual laziness is something that I've also fallen into. It's also something where I felt comfortable, and I'm like, yeah, it's all good. But I knew that there is more possible for me. I knew that I actually want more. And then at some point, the pain was, in a sense, or the dissatisfaction was too high for me to continue to be lazy. And then I actually was motivated again to match. And then I was motivated again to move within, to shift, to envision like new states for myself. And I already see this moving in that direction in certain life areas. So it's really interesting. So thanks for watching and listening, guys. And I speak to you in the next one. Bye, guys.